بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Misguidance and deviation never comes in its pure form. If it came in its pure form, we would know it and we would stay away from it. But it always comes in a disguised form, with a flavor and color of the truth to it. And that is where the issue of vigilance comes in, that we have to be careful about it. Even when we talk about, religious knowledge, the source and the authenticity is very important. There is an interesting hadith that we have from Imam Hassan bin Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. When we look at our own lifestyle, before I go to the hadith itself, human beings, when they talk about food, they are careful to see whether it is beneficial or it is harmful. And this is where the Imam says, عَجَبٌ لِمَنْ يَتَفَكَّرُ فِي مَأْكُولِهِ كَيْفَ لَا يَتَفَكَّرُ فِي مَعْقُولِهِ. He says, I'm surprised that a person who is so much concerned about what he eats is not that much concerned about what goes to his mind. The food which goes into the belly, we are careful that it doesn't harm our body. But the food that goes to our mind, we are not vigilant enough there to see whether it is going to corrupt us or it is going to be beneficial. These days it's becoming a very common trend to hear about the statements, again disguised as religious guidance, that there is no room for ulama in Islam. But when you talk about the role of ulama in a Muslim society, just as you need doctors in any society to take care of their health, spiritually, on the spiritual level, you need, spiritual doctors. And so this issue that sometimes we are told, well, in the name of religion, we don't need ulama. MashaAllah, books are being translated in English. We will go to the Qur'an, directly the translation and the Hadith, read ourselves and make our own decisions. Well, if you want to become a mujtahid, nobody stops you. But there is no shortcut to that. You can't become a, mujtahid by internet. Because everything has its own principle and methods, and discipline that you have to go through. And this is where we have to be careful about, this trend which is coming out there in the name of akhbariyat. It's actually misguidance in a disguised form, where the Shias are told you have to go to the akhbar and the hadith of Ahlul Bayt directly. You don't need this ulama. But who is telling you to do that? Isn't that person who is telling you to do that himself is taking the position of the ulama? You're back to square one. You left one and went to the other. Somebody who was probably not even, educated enough or educated, authorized or authentic in that sense. Sometimes it comes in a very subtle manner. In a gathering where hadith was being discussed, one of the individuals from the audience says, but when I look at this hadith and the content, this is not in line with the fatwa of the marja that we follow. And what does the teacher say? He said, maybe the marja didn't read this hadith. MashaAllah. When you read hadith, there is a science of hadith we have. Authentic, unauthentic, sahih or za'if. Not every sahih hadith is even accepted. There are many, many different things you have to look into it. Some of the hadiths might be sanad-wise okay, but as our ulama say, they are matruk. The ashab of the imams did not even implement or accept it. So there was a reason behind it. And so it's not just a simple matter of looking at hadith and saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do today, and follow it in that way. Yes, it is good to study hadith, but study it with the proper guidance. Not a method where there is a subtle deviation away from following the mujtahideen. If it had been that easy for every Shia to go to hadith and decide on their own, then our Imams would not have emphasized the issue of, training the ulema and referring to them in the matters of understanding the Qur'an and the hadith of the Ahlul Bayt.